everybody. Welcome to the Tesla Life number 128, December 12th? No, 18th. December 18th, 2019. On our way into the Christmas season. Christmas Day is what? 7 days away? That's it? Just a week.
Yeah, but isn't it like 5 days earlier in Canada?
Yeah, it's the metric system, right?
Right. Yeah, you get metric Christmas. We don't get that. Yeah, we just get
no, we get Christmas, and then we get the next day, Boxing Day.
Double holiday.
We get a double holiday. Those
Boxing
Canadians, man, they've got it made. Let me tell you.
That's the day when you kill all the rich people, right?
That's when you all go into the street and you beat the hell out of each other after the Christmas Day. That's right.
No, that's why the rich people have to eat leftovers. Because all the servants are out in the streets.
We just had Saturnella earlier this week.
But I digress. Welcome to the show, everyone. We got a ton of news tonight. And as per usual, we've got some fantastic panel hosts with us tonight. Mr. Frost joins us from sunny San Diego. Is it sunny or is it raining today, Russell?
Hello, as my friend Patrick would say. I'm stealing his opening salutation. Hello from the bottom left corner of America, where in America's finest city, it is a brisk 64 degrees and partly cloudy. Lots of wind here, so it's a little chilly. I wore a coat when I went out earlier today. I know you're, take it easy, Russell. I had a scarf. I wore a scarf as well.
Oh my gosh.
So, just for the record, but yeah, it's another gorgeous day in San Diego. I hope everyone else's day is equally as pleasant.
Fantastic. And we're getting a snowstorm here. Mr. Patrick Connor joins us from the Pacific Northwest. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. Hello, everybody watching, wherever and whenever you are. And since Russell stole my intro, I guess I'll make up a new one. I'm charged up and ready for this show. How about
that? Look at that.
I just stole the hello from. I mean,
yeah, I don't think I really owned hello from.
Yeah, I don't think you had a trademark. I do feel bad because I did steal it from you, and I admitted that. But I mean,
well, yeah, it just inspired me to riff on something new there, and I came up with a good dad joke.
I am here for inspiration.
And last but not least, Mr. Casey Green joins us from the DC area. How are you today, sir?
Chilly. It's a freezing, literally. It's 32 degrees out.
Yeah, it's 64 and windy. That's terrible.
No, it's 32 and windy. Yeah.
32 is a nice warm day. What are you talking about?
No, not 32 centigrade. That'd be 0 centigrade.
Oh, well, that's enough about the weather. We've got a ton of news as per usual. Tesla never sleeps. There's always something going on. And this past week was no exception to that. Our first story is an underground story from Las Vegas that Mr. Russell Frost is going to tell us a little bit about.
Oh, I totally... It's an underground story?
It's a bit of an underground story, yes, indeed.
Well...
Mind the gap.
So I guess it really depends on whether or not you give credence to everything that Mr. Lambert writes and posts on Electrek.
Well, we typically don't. You're right.
As you might have ascertained from that short one-sentence intro, I don't so much.
Drink. Everybody in the chat room.
Absolutely. Drink hard. You're going to be gone by the end of this episode. Let me just tell you. So Mr. Lambert, just 2 days ago, posted on Electrek a quote from the headline, "Tesla has one more vehicle to unveil from Elon Musk's Master Plan Part 2. And if you remember, cast your mind back, there was supposed to be a high-density urban vehicle. That's the only thing that we haven't really seen. Except, wait, Mr. Lambert, kind of like the historic TV PIs of the 70s, has put together the connections and has said the Master Plan Part 2 high-density urban vehicle is going to be the People Movers in Vegas.
Those don't really sound like a product. They sound like somebody else's product, namely the Boring Company.
Well, the Boring Company in this article has indicated that any type of vehicle will be coming from Tesla direct.
which
Yeah,
would
but
make sense.
is Tesla going to sell this vehicle as a product, or is it just like a service they're offering to their sister company?
It would be kind of funny if they were buying train cars from Bombardier or something.
That would be amazing.
That would be news. So the problem that I have with all this is the problem I have with a lot of Mr. Lambert's posts, which are it's a lot of like navel gazing bullshit and made up with no evidence that he can lay claim to because it was something that was leaked to him. And yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe not. Who knows?
He
Now,
can come up with a paragraph for a tweet, or
I'm
3
sorry?
paragraphs. I like that he can come up with 3 paragraphs for one tweet.
I don't,
A lot of pages,
they-
a lot of ink is spilled over one tweet.
They've been doing this.
So.
They've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, there's a lot of links to be baited out there, my friends, and I mean, Tesla's still one of the best keywords on the internet.
It is.
Thank you, all of you, for clicking on us every week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're just acknowledging our, we eat at the
Yes.
same trough that Electric does. And hopefully we are a little more critical in what we present to you, and objective. That's all. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that would certainly make sense. And cheers to Freddie for coming up with this idea that that's going to be the last vehicle to be unveiled. And then what happens? Folks? That's what I want to know from the panel. When all the vehicles for Master Plan Part 2 have been unveiled, what do we look forward to?
Oh, well, we've already got the Cyberquad to look forward to. And then there was hints from a dirt bike. So we've got that to look forward to.
Gigafactory 5.
Yeah, lots of we will not run out of exciting things to talk about in 2020. I'll guarantee you.
If this thing is really the bus, then it actually might make a good camper. If it's for sale.
You're still looking for that camper, aren't you?
Yeah.
Just buy the semi and get it over with. Build your own camper out of a 53-foot trailer and you're set.
Yeah,
They sell them that way.
you could put a luxury condo back there.
Yeah.
I was during this article that Russell was talking about, I was looking through some of the details and went back into the archives of the internet to see if I could pull up any more information about the Boring Company's dig in Las Vegas. It is supposed to be done, the entire line, until January 2021 is when it's supposed to be complete. So we've got something that has to be dug and operational in like under 2 years.
Just over a year, yeah.
It's something that is on a heavy time schedule, but it'll be interesting to see that some of the news media in Las Vegas have been reporting to this point of the tunnel dig. They're talking about 100 feet every day, basically, is what they were saying the number was. And there's been a number of television crews reporting on the progress in Las Vegas as it starts its first dig. And again, went back and looked at the 3 stations. Going to be 3 stations. They're going
And a trash can.
And a trash can.
Several trash cans. And they're going to be, it's going to be placed, one of them's going right under partial convention center that already exists. And of course, the 3rd station is ending up at the new section of the Las Vegas Convention Center just being completed now. So interesting. Again, we don't know what the vehicle is in the tunnel, and I'm going to be real disappointed if it's just an X or several X's.
No, they won't use X's.
I just thought, like, there's no way they could get away with that. Like, it's okay, we move you and 3 of your friends, and that's it. Then it's coming back in 20 minutes to pick up the other 400,000 people that are in line.
Maybe for the shakedown test they'll use a Model X, but yeah, that's not the best vehicle for that.
So it's really curious as to what this. It's got to be a high occupancy vehicle, some sort of bus, some sort of bigger van, something that can hold like a train car of people.
They have a elevated train there now, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's what ends up in this, and that Tesla doesn't have a vehicle ready to go into Boring Company tunnels yet, and this one they end up using some sort of train.
But don't forget,
But it will be exciting to see what it is, though.
their tunnels are smaller than standard, so you can't just put a regular train in there.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah.
So and when of course the tunnel was built and it's displayed in Hawthorne, we were expecting to see a high occupancy vehicle or some mock-up of one.
Yeah.
And Elon put the kibosh on that before and said,
Model S with dentures.
we're not coming out with anything like that. So I'm wondering if they were continuing to work on the pattern or the demo that they were thinking it's going to be, and maybe they're just going to come out with it for the unveiling of this tunnel. So
they didn't want to pull a Ford and have to pay Toyota for licensing on something they invented in-house.
Exactly.
So is it still the leased Godot, or is it have they actually started to make modifications to the TBM?
They're still using Gen 1.
Okay, so they haven't made any visible changes to that.
The last news report that I said, they were using the Gen 1 to begin tunneling.
Yeah, so we shall see.
Remember the code name for Gen 1, but Godot was the Gen 3 that was going to be completely
so they're still waiting
theirs, right?
Yeah.
Gen 2 was one that they were going to modify, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so they haven't even started that part.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
And it makes sense to start with the Gen 1, actually get some real experience with it, besides just a small test tunnel, and then iterate as you go.
Experience.
Yeah, so
Oh.
two full-size tunnels and some access tunnel, I believe. So 3 tunnels altogether, I believe. So we shall see. We shall see. On to the next story, and this one's above ground. So we'll talk a little bit about my favorite subject in the last little while, which is superchargers coming in across Canada. And as we reported upon last time, we had this whole line of cones that spread across the northern route, the furthest northern route for superchargers. And what we found out over the past week is 9 new locations sprung to life in northern Ontario in this area, and then over towards Winnipeg to Regina, Saskatchewan, over in this area. And these are all V3s. And what we have found is that there have been some up and down issues with the V3 because a few of the stations, as you can see, 2 of them are grayed out right at this moment. Just 2 days ago, a couple were grayed out in Ontario. So they're playing with them, trying to get them to the proper specifications. But at least they're coming on and off and then back on again. So we're very glad to see the Trans-Canada's being covered, and we're glad to see that they're now starting to come online. So
V3 is getting its first winter shakedown.
Exactly.
Up in the Great North.
That's right. Yeah. So and you'll notice that through these sparsely populated areas across the western plains of Canada, a number of these are only 6 stall units. There's a couple of 8s. And then, of course, when you get down into Ontario, they increase. When you get over to British Columbia, they increase. But through this area, we're looking at basically 6 to 8 stalls at these new superchargers.
Well, that's probably good, because everywhere except California, they seem to be pretty well managed. I mean, like the one that I charge at, sometimes it gets to be only 1 stall open, but I've never seen it full yet. And then even on the hurricane evacuation routes, the most I've had to wait was 5 minutes, and that was because one was broken.
Now, if you're interested in following this along, you can yourself. The map we're looking at is from supercharger.info on the internet, and you can log in at any point. You see all sorts of stats and interesting information, and what another option is really cool is if you go into charts, they've taken the data that gets updated and they've plotted it. So, for example, you can click on and see that right now we're up to 15,000 plus stalls worldwide. You can take a look at North American compared to Europe, compared to Asia Pacific, and see the numbers. And what's cool down here as well is that you can see the different countries, excluding the US and China, which are number 1 and number 2. But you can see Canada here with 74 open, 25 under construction, and another 8 in permit. So we'll be jumping to position 3 shortly, above France. But kind of cool watching this as it moves along. So anyone out there that's interested, you can log on to supercharger.info.
Real quick. Supercharge. Yeah, supercharger.info.
No R at the end. Yeah. My mistake. And you can check out what's going on at any point.
Yeah, there should be a whole lot of them going in China next year.
There you go. That dude spent some money for 4 referrals.
Yep, absolutely.
Somebody was cyber squatting on the URL, so if you spell it wrong, you end up at his referral page instead of you're going to.
Yeah. When are you going to do a Trans Canada? What's the equivalent Cannonball
ETA,
Run in Canada?
The ETA to the West Coast, I believe, is next summer.
All right.
Is it?
So we're thinking about doing a run out to Banff, Alberta, and checking out Lake Louise, which is a spectacular view. I've never been into that area at all, besides making a plane change at an airport. Haven't been out west at all, except to make those changes at an airport. So we're thinking we might do that for summer of 2020.
Oh, cool.
Maybe we can convince Patrick to come up and meet us part way.
Yeah.
See, Patrick's up there in the hood, you know.
And maybe, unless I'm in Australia, I'll come up and visit you.
There you go.
You go across Australia while they go across Canada.
There you go. Yeah.
Exactly. So what do we got for our next story here?
That's it. Thank you. Good night.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
We've got an interesting photo, which those in the audience that are of a certain age will remember this distinctly. And of course, now I'm not grabbing it and right away. So I'm just stalling here.
I'm just trying to wait and figure out if I'm below or above the age.
Oh man, you are got to be in that age.
Really?
I'd be shocked. With Russell's Monty Python jokes, I think this would be right up his alley as something that was in the area that he was. Here we go. Got it.
Dun, dun, dun.
And this, of course,
oh God,
is the new Family Truckster from National Lampoon's Vacation. Someone has taken it and, of course, added on the MacTac kit of the
Cyber
big,
Winnebago.
with the wood paneling and the awesome army green color. And don't forget the truckster's fins that were on the front of the car are mounted here on the sail frame. But I thought this was just classic. Like what a fantastic job. I would hope that some vinyl manufacturer actually comes out with this and you could just stick it on the side of your car with maybe some vinyl white walls that you could add to the tires.
I just got one criticism is this white wall should be a lot wider. But that is horribly awful and wonderful at the same time.
Yes, indeed. It's like it's awesome. I just love it.
Right down to fake looking door handles that aren't really there.
Exactly. Yep. The next story relates to Gigafactory 4. There was some information released or found by the German media that indicate that some initial work on the site has already began last week. Just some basic stuff. Maybe they said it was stuff that you could do without the actual permit being in your hands. So they had indicated that there is some work being done at the site, but what they did indicate in the found documents or information was that they believe that construction in earnest may begin in January of 2020. So under a month or about a month away, that some of this work could start to begin at the site. That could be maybe tree clearing because it is there's a good amount of forest that's going to have to be
trees.
Moved. You know, those trees are just cumbersome in the wrong spots, aren't they? But they're going to be, they'll be chopped down. And of course, they indicated that new trees will be planted in their place. But
3 times the number of trees.
Right. So So there will be compensation for that. But that's got to be exciting stuff if you're in the Berlin area, just on the outskirts near the airport. This factory, although it won't be built as quick as what we saw in China, in fact, it's probably going to take 2+ years to complete this factory by some estimations by others. That compared to, of course, what the land speed record of 9 months or 10 months the other was completed. But it'll be interesting to see as it starts to go up and what type of updates will begin. I already saw today that someone put up a drone and flew it over the forest.
Yes.
So, yeah, if you want to do the time lapse, you have to get the
exactly. You got to get the original look of the place. So a drone's already been up and started to record the progress or non-progress at this point.
And you could see stuff moving around in that drone shot. And another thing that you could tell was that appears to have been a tree crop, not a natural forest. So
okay.
So when they go to replant, it actually might be greater for biodiversity than what was already there.
Right.
Yeah. So do we think it's going to be faster or slower than the original Giga?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
It's obviously not going to touch China with the regulations and the unions and everything.
No.
Yeah, I'm in the 2-year camp.
But
is that faster or slower than?
I would say it's going to be a little bit faster in Nevada.
Okay. I mean, and obviously Nevada's not done yet, but I mean,
right.
compared
So
to
how
what
do
we've
you
got
gauge
so far.
when it was? Yeah, it's way past.
Thank you for mentioning the
comparatively.
Now, this next story comes to us from Mick Tesla 3 on Twitter. You can follow him at any point. But what's kind of interesting that Mick Tesla 3 did is he took his Model 3. He's from the Ontario area. He put it out in the snow, and then he took an infrared camera to it and turned on the preheat function of the car so we could see what happens. I'm just going to share that here. And we'll go ahead and make it full screen and press the play button here.
People in San Diego might not care, but the rest of us
care. I care. I want to see this.
So he's had the preheat on for some time before he went out and filmed. Mm-hmm. And what I find interesting is how the bottom, like obviously where the battery pack is, but the front is almost glowing in heat. The darker colors, of course, cold. The yellows are bright, or the most yellow or is the most heat that you're getting from the signature of the car. And then as he works his way around the car, you can see the back is not quite as hot as the front.
I wonder if that has anything to do with trying to keep the radar and the front bumper from being too icy. That was a problem for a while.
That's an idea, yeah. And then, of course, you can see where up on the windshield, you've got the spot that's keeping it warm to melt ice. But it was kind of cool that you'd be able to see the car and see right through the body as to where the heat is coming from.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, they had to think about all of that. Okay, we want the cabin warm. We want the batteries warmed up. We want to make sure the sensors are not iced over. Pretty cool stuff.
And then, of course, the blowing hot air in the car, you can see it just coming out right at the driver's face type thing. But, yeah, kind of neat. Kind of neat to see.
So on the Model 3 with the cold weather kit, does it have the heated wipers like the S and the X?
It does not.
Oh. How do you keep them from freezing? Do you got to lift them up?
You do, but it's also it's hidden a little bit underneath the hood. Mm-hmm. You do have to do a little scraping if your wipers are frozen in place, or you could put it in service mode the night before and put the wipers off the actual windshield. Although I hear some people say that you shouldn't necessarily do that all the time because of it wearing on the springs. If you extend them each time, you're basically lengthening the springs over a period of time, and they won't hold the windshield as well. I'm fortunate enough to have a garage, so I'm not running into that issue at all. But I know some certainly have bought a cover that they put over the windshield that protects it from snow and ice, and you just pull the cover off in the morning, while others are pushing the windshield wipers up.
But that is a good point, because these ones aren't made to. They don't have that extra position for when they're actually up, because they're not really made to be up except for to change the blades.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's a good point to bring out. But on the Model S and Model X with the cold weather kit, there is a heating element directly under the blades that will de-ice them from the window.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm still sharing, am I not? Okay.
You are.
Let me try to break that off. There we go. And with that, talk a little bit about the dashing through the snow.
Snow.
Seems to be a pattern tonight, isn't it? It's all about the snow.
Yeah,
it's all about the snow.
For snow.
But there was a new render that was put on the internet just recently, and of course, it's our favorite view of the Cybertruck. And this one's all decked out for snow. So we'll just share that so people can see that we've got this crazy looking vehicle with the snow tracks. I just thought that was kind of hilarious. Someone had mentioned, does it have solar panels on the back? I don't know. This is a render. It's not real, obviously. But love the Snow White on the snow. So very cool that someone was able to put this together and post it a few times on some different media sites.
Yep, and then I had replied to one of the postings of it that I would think that would be kind of cool if you put it on the ones where the tracks are the snowshoes, where basically the rubber drives the tracks, and that's
right.
a lot more practical.
Okay, so now we're on to some European regulations. Who had that story? I've forgotten already.
I think I did.
All right.
So back to our friend Fred Lambert at Electrek. Yesterday, Fred published a story, and I just love this verb. It's one of my favorite verbs. The headline is, quote, Tesla is nerfing, that's the word that I like, Autopilot for Model S and X in Europe to comply with regulations. Yes, the EU has some pretty strict regulations about what you can and cannot do with consumer products, with all consumer products, not just automobiles. And some of Tesla's Autopilot parameters, shall we say, seem to violate those regulations. So Tesla has sent out an email. They've already done this with Model 3. I was told immediately before the show by people who know better than me, which is everyone on this panel. And this is Model S and X catching up. They have not previously had this. There's a new software update that's going to reduce some Autopilot features. It's this is in one sense not at all unusual, because manufacturers have to meet the regulations in various countries wherever they sell their vehicles. Sometimes they make one vehicle that complies with all regulations. Sometimes they don't. Tesla, in their instance, did what they did, and now they need to comply with those laws, and they are being required to change Autopilot. There's obviously a lot of opinion about this, a lot of, in fact, let me quote Mr. Lambert once again, quote, some of these changes make it sound like Autopilot would be virtually useless under the requirements, unquote. Maybe, I don't know. I don't,
I like his closing quote.
I'm sorry?
I like his closing quote.
If he paid for them, he'd be angry. That's really the only thing that Fred ever gets pissed off about, is if he's got out. And then, wait, what was the other thing that he bitched about? Then Tesla owners tore him a new one.
The performance.
Was it the pricing?
Yeah, the price. Yeah,
the pricing. Yeah. And
when this man was given two Roadsters, and he was complaining about the price.
Right. I mean,
the price of the Model 3 and
Fred's a big whiner when it comes to his money. And hey, you know what? In a sense, I get that, man. I don't have a lot of money. So if I feel like somebody hoses me, I complain about it. But let's be clear.
But Fred's this was right after he got the second Roadster. The people were like, dude, come on.
Whatever. That's Fred. So be that as it may, this is one of those things that's going to, that's going to impact Tesla. They have to do business within the regulations of the country that they're in. And, until they can work to change those regulations, it's that or not sell cars there.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're in Europe and you get the next software update, you might want to delay that one just a little bit if you like your autopilot features.
Patrick, is there any way not to do the update over an extended period of time?
Oh, I don't know. I'm usually in the other camp trying
Yeah,
to
I
do
know.
as fast as I can.
Yeah.
It in the past it was a thing. I don't know if they can override you for critical updates, and they might mark this one as critical if they are required to by law, and those will go out and install pretty much when the car's idle. Yeah.
Keep
Okay.
your car in a Faraday cage. You're fine.
But they can't drive it.
That is totally reasonable. That is totally reasonable.
Right.
But build a big Faraday cage so at least you can go around in circles.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll have all the pilot features you want. You just can't go anywhere.
I mean,
I want to shout out to Senator Markey and let him know that this is not the way to go. Take me up on my ride along, either in Massachusetts or here in DC. We'll show you that there's nothing to be afraid of with these
what
cars.
does Markey have to do with this?
He wants to nerf them.
Yeah, he's somebody else that wants to put the brakes on Autopilot. In
Right,
the
but I
US.
mean, he has nothing to do with EU regulations.
No, he doesn't. But this is the same,
And
same
that's
idea.
That's what
I've
people
offered to meet
that's
him
what-
in Massachusetts or here to show
people
him
in
that
the
there's
EU should write their representatives if they feel that this is something that is outside or is something that is not required in their minds. Write your representatives. Actually get together with an EV group, a Tesla group, and make your voices known. And that's how to get things changed.
Absolutely.
Before we go to our next story, I just want to let everyone know, if you're following us tonight for the first time, please give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and that gets us in the eyes of more people. So please do that for us. That would be very helpful.
Did you say
You can-
thumb in the eye?
No, thumb in Russell's eye.
Oh.
I'm
sorry.
Up, especially if it's in Russell's eye. Just go ahead and click right in his eye there.
Or if you can't get it in Russell's eye, give us a thumbs up in the YouTube browser, and that will help us out immensely. Also, you can follow us on social media on Twitter at The Tesla Life, and you can follow us on Facebook, The Tesla Life #1. And with that, we'll move on to our next story, which Patrick has for us.
Okay, so as many of you know, last July of 2018, Tesla sold their 200,000th car in the U.S., and that triggered the phase out of their tax credit that's been slowly reducing. So they got to keep the full amount for 6 months, and then it halved and halved again, and at the end of this month, it goes to zero. Well, there's a new federal budget that's been worked on, and there was some talk that maybe, just maybe, there'll be an extension or a change to this program that would bring it back and allow it to support 600,000 vehicles. And GM has already hit they're doing their phase out now. Nissan's going to start theirs soon. So this would have been really cool for EVs in general. But our president decided that he was going to stop that this was just welfare for rich Californians and it didn't need to happen. Here's a quote from a Bloomberg article. Senator Debbie Stabenow says, "There's been extreme resistance from the president. I don't know why the White House would want to stop jobs and the future of the auto industry." So
It's
there
interesting.
will not be a tax.
No, I'm sorry, Patrick.
Go ahead.
No, it's interesting. Stabenow's the senator from Michigan and is not
Yes.
super like, yay, California car company.
Right. Yeah. So
There's a Michigan car company also being hurt by this.
Exactly.
And Tesla is also in Michigan.
Right. Yeah. And EVs are going to be sold all around the country, all around the world. You would think that you would want to support our local manufacturing, but that's not what's happening.
There is a silver lining to this. They did once again stealth fund the deduction for installs of home charging equipment and chargers on businesses yet again. So I don't know if it's through the end of the year or through the end of 2020, retroactively through the end of the last time they extended it. So if you installed a charger after the last one ended in 2017, you can now claim it.
Very cool.
Patrick, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Hypothetically, if they passed the same tax credit, let's just say another 200,000 vehicles, blah, 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 per manufacturer. But they said only vehicles under $40,000 MSRP. How would you feel about that?
That's fine. That's a segment of the market that needs to be supported. Now, is it part of the problem is the vehicles are expensive because of the technology, not just because the companies making them are trying to maximize profits, not just because of that reason. Right. So you want to make sure that you're putting out cars that are not just meeting that goal. Okay, we'll only sell 80-mile range vehicles, and they're only going to be usable in certain situations. You do want robust vehicles. I think that's one of the reasons that Tesla's outselling a lot of other car companies. They are not making these reduced, barely enough kind of cars. They're putting out cars fully featured and exciting, and that makes them even more expensive. But if you trim all that stuff off and you just want a nice long-range car, it's still going to be expensive, and it'll be a lot less fun. So Oregon's incentive has a similar. There is a, I don't remember what the limit is. It might even be 40,000, the number you picked there. So I understand that. That makes sense to me, and I wouldn't be opposed to that. People who are buying more expensive vehicles generally have the means to pay for it. Although a lot of people are doing the Tesla stretch,
yes,
and buying outside of their normal budget, and the incentives really help make that possible. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be happy about it. I'd be happier than no incentive at all. But it'd be nice. We have to keep doing something until EVs get across the chasm. I don't know if you guys have seen the technology adoption curve where you have innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and then the curmudgeons or laggers or whatever they're called. So getting to that early majority is the chasm, and where a lot of products die. And so you've got to get to about 20% market share. So I would have preferred, instead of these being based on vehicles from any given manufacturer, the incentive is there until EVs are 20% market share. Then we've crossed the chasm in that product category. Then they do a phase out. I think that would have been a much better program. Because as it is now, some manufacturers have hit it and they don't get the credit, and others who are lagging behind are now at an advantage when they come into the market. So you're
for leading back, yeah.
Yeah, so you're encouraging them to hold back until the product, the battery technology has developed more, driven by other people. Volumes are higher, driven by other people. And then you can make more profit on it and have an incentive to have a better competitive position against them. I think that's just completely not the point of this type of incentive. It's not to make businesses delay rolling out their product, it's to encourage it. So it should not have been manufacturer specific, in my opinion, at all.
They also could do, focus it on cars assembled here in the U.S., and it also would depend on what kind of loopholes they would use. Because we've seen how Germany and Canada did theirs, and how several manufacturers, namely one, Tesla, adjusted their technique to fit. They did the same thing in China, actually, to make it fit.
Yeah. And that was a dollar amount in Canada.
Dollar amount in Canada.
You had to be under for the base model. So Tesla modified their price structure to get under that base price, and they were eligible for that credit. But yeah, we will see. We will see as things go along. Some of the manufacturers that haven't been involved at all, like Ford, somewhat involved. Okay, not much. But
Toyota.
They're going
Honda.
to be Dodge. They're all, have the complete almost 200,000 available to them. So we will see how that goes along as more start to come to market. But what I found interesting about the article was Trump saying right to them that if this bill somehow manages to get through the House into my desk, I will definitely kill it.
Believe me, there'll be more jobs than you can know what to do with.
I thought he wanted to support coal, and these are coal-powered cars.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. Whatever. Yeah.
Beautiful, clean coal.
Next, Trump's got his own problems tonight, but we won't talk about that. The next story we're going to talk about is Car and Driver magazine added the Model S to its quickest car list of the decade. So of the past 10 years. And of course, it's obvious why. It is and the specific car is the Model S P90D. They picked an actual car, like an actual model, and said that was part of the list of the 10 quickest cars of the decade. And of course, that was Tesla's goal coming out with the Model X, was something that was sporty and fast and put other regular cars to shame in many different categories, including speed. And that's great to see that, still a number of years later, that car still remains in that category.
Is it the only four-door sedan in the list?
I didn't look for that specifically, Patrick.
Okay.
Good question.
Yeah.
Did they say why they picked an older model?
Yeah, and why they picked an older model, but it's part of the 10, so that's 2010 to 2019, almost 2020, which is coming up shortly.
Yeah,
but
so the
why did they not
great.
pick the 100? Ludicrous, yeah.
100, the Raven, ludicrous. I mean, there's so many newer cars than that.
I don't know. I don't know why they did. They don't really indicate as to why they didn't pick an even faster model that was available to pick from. But
they quoted the old price. 134.
They picked an older car.
Yeah, I wonder if that was just the first car that met the criteria, and so that's what got on the list, and then they're not looking.
Anything else would have been gravy.
Right.
Anything else would have been gravy. Exactly.
At least it made the list. Yeah.
Exactly. Another topic that we can touch upon is battery packs. Tesla Energy has won another contract, this time for Alaska, adding a battery pack for the first time to their grid system to help with the switching and switchback, as well as peaker plant requirements. This new grid pack is going to be in place by 2021. So good to see the residents of Alaska are going to benefit from some clean power. It's going to help that local utility bring down their need for the peaker plant and, of course, the fuel that is required to run it. So helping them with their emissions and bringing this fast switching ability to their system that they currently don't have as well. So a couple of benefits for that. But if it's anything like what has happened in Australia, it looks like this is going to be a real win. And of course, that's what Australia was put on the map for, was to be a demonstration of what this technology could do and how it can help the utility that puts it online. So they didn't talk exactly about about them looking at the Australian plant, but man, if I was a utility and was after some sort of a system, this certainly looking at what Australia has done and even re-upped the amount of batteries it has is certainly a testimony as to how this system can pay you back quickly.
I like that the rendering is all megapacks.
Yeah. Yep, and just a rendering. So and obviously a beautiful green field it sits in. It's just amazing.
No fence.
Nothing. Yeah, it's just wide open for the antelope to run through and just not bang into the megapacks.
Moose.
Does it say what city it's going to be near?
It did. It indicated a region. It was buried in the article here.
If there's any difference in performance.
93 megawatt hours total. The utility is said it was going to be in. No, I can't see it.
So these are heated and cooled, so I'm curious if there's any difference in performance between the Australian one and the Alaskan one once they are both fully deployed.
Oh, it's the Homer Electric Association, so I assume it's near Homer, Alaska.
Near Homer, Alaska. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay. Very good. So another power pack deployed for a utility size system will be great to see. One in North America, along with the one in California that's going in place. Another one to the mix will be great.
Yeah, just like we were saying last week, the when you get more of these spread out, then that's what you've made a dent in things, and you can start to look at restructuring the grid 3.0, I guess you would call it.
Exactly. And our next story brings us to glamping. Does anyone know what glamping is? You've heard of
It's
glamping?
evil and it shouldn't exist. How's that?
Well, some of the people that are glamping would probably have a bone to pick on you for that, but
yes, I do.
They can pick their bone wherever they like.
What can you tell us
I
about
do have some
glamping?
bones to pick. Because currently we glamp in the Model X. We call it the Tesla bed. We fold down one set of the seats, and our rear seats tend to live in the down position. So we fold down one of the middle seats and save on a hotel. And you can go wherever, so you can be in nature, and you've got skylight everywhere in the Model X. But we were looking to do this in the Cybertruck, and we've been questioning. About not just with the tent accessory, but like what if you are literally just have the vault closed? Would there be air in there for you, and would it be comfortable? And Elon has indicated that yes, there will be climate control passing through there, maybe not dedicated, and that it's possible that that you'll be able to get access to the second row from inside the vault, so you can have your you throw the laptop in there or snacks, and just put your bed in the back. I don't know how that will work if you're using the official tent accessory. Maybe the vault will go further down than they showed us, and it won't be an issue. But more announcements via tweet from Elon.
Yeah, so we're going to have the ability of getting some secondary HVAC into the not dedicated, but somehow venting will be provided somehow to get some heating or air conditioning into that compartment. So
yeah, like maybe the window will fold down, or maybe they'll go the Chevy Avalanche style where the midgate goes away. Either one of those would be good.
Yeah, if you're camping in the heat of the summer or the cold winters, that's pretty nice.
Yeah,
absolutely, be nice.
Plus
a lot of people like being off the ground as it is, right?
Yeah.
Putting a tent inside the back of a truck is popular just to keep you off the ground if it was to get wet or rainy. You've got that solid ground that the tent can sit on. But man, having the ability to have some HVAC, that's really a step up.
Especially, yeah. And then like with the vault closed, you could go anywhere. You could be on a cross country road trip, and just need to pull over for a minute, and it will be unassuming because it looks like it always does when it's parked. It doesn't draw attention. Say, hey, there's people sleeping in here.
Right. If you didn't use the camper part that they showed in some previous pictures.
Yeah, the camper part I assume that would be something you do as the destination, not necessarily in the Walmart parking lot halfway between here and there.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't really want to do anything in a Walmart parking lot, just for the record.
The only reason I picked them is that they have historically been friendly to overnight parking.
Absolutely, which is all the more reason why I don't want to be hanging out
there. And it's interesting. There's many superchargers at Walmart parking lots. That and other grocery stores are
Your argument
popular.
is not convincing. I understand it and I acknowledge it.
Electrify America has chosen to be there.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think we're persuading Russell at all.
I think we're hurting the case.
Let's be clear. Getting back to nature is not getting HVAC pumped in from the cabin into your vault where you have to be camping, trying to get closer to nature. At that point, why don't I just get a room with the Four Seasons, open the patio doors, turn the heat up, and lay with my head hanging out you know what I mean? Like, that's glamping, okay? Because they have room service and really nice beds.
Oh,
that's just staying at a hotel at that point. That's not glamping.
Yeah. Don't call that glamping. You got the glamour part, but not the camping part.
Yeah.
Next, we've got a little bit of an update about the Model 3. Apparently, Tesla leaked something on a website. Casey, what's that about?
So, Tesla's been doing a lot of stuff to the website, including cutting down everybody's warranty from unlimited to 150 miles. I called in and they said that it still shows unlimited in their computer. But they also let it leak that they are going to be selling a performance boost for at least the dual motor Model 3s, if not more Model 3s. It showed up on the page where you can order Autopilot and full self-drive, and there was a little disclaimer that said the acceleration boost upgrade requires your car to have software version 2019.40.2, which is the one they just pushed to the nation. And somebody did some further digging in the code and found this was cost about $2,000, and that's all we know about it so far. But that's super exciting. You can buy a speed boost with DLC.
Why would they ever have a price in the code? That doesn't seem right.
This is true.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it was actually obtained, besides the fact that someone went into their profile area, and the fine print was printed there.
Yeah.
Okay, on the website. Okay, I can see.
Yeah,
that.
it was on the upgrades page.
Yeah. Okay.
It was like a premature push.
I was thinking you just mentioned the firmware version, so I was thinking about the
the disclaimer was in the disclaimer included the firmware version. And so they're definitely stirring up the site, because, like I said, where they cut my warranty down, that was a little scary. But if it was just related to, like, maybe whoever did this and showed it off too early just hit the wrong button, everybody would be cool.
So that's interesting, because if you don't have a performance version, you don't have the upgraded brakes.
Right.
But if they push out software to give you the faster acceleration and top speed, kind of might need the better brakes too. So would that include a brake upgrade?
No.
I mean,
They figure you just want the speed. You don't want to stop.
Well, also the performance brakes, you get track mode, and because on the Stealth Performance Model 3, you don't get the brakes either. And so maybe you just want to do stoplight to stoplight. You don't need the brakes like you would for. Okay, they're probably not encouraging stoplight to stoplight, but you know what I mean.
I can't see any way this could possibly be abused. I just can't. It's a win-win for everyone.
So without the track mode, maybe they see that you don't need the upgraded brakes for their cooling and resistance to heat fade and all the other stuff you get with the performance brakes.
Right.
Maybe that's the second upgrade notice you get. After you buy the speed, then you say, you know what? Maybe you should do an upgrade on the brakes.
We can send a technician. Well, they won't send a mobile technician by to do brakes because it's brake fluid, but you can visit your local service center and get the performance brake kit for only $5,000.
Right. Yeah, that would be the reason.
Provide you a little bit of a discount since you just bought the speed package.
Yes.
Yeah, you get 10% off brakes. Excellent.
Right. Yeah. And then you could also get track mode with that next upgrade.
Yeah, but they won't let you go to the full performance speed because the whole story was that even though they were the same motors, they were binned higher than the non-performance ones. Right.
I was just going to say the track vehicles were supposed to have different motors,
or at least supposed to pass the test better. Yeah.
Right.
So maybe they'll get a boost as well for the same price, and theirs will go somewhat faster than 3.15 seconds. Maybe they'll do 3.14 or 3.0.
Which, forgive me, for a company that makes electronic devices, to have one device and then have two different classes of devices in that same.
But so many
everybody does it, Russell.
Do that. Yeah.
I understand LEDs are sorted that way, but this is a little different.
Yeah.
And resistors and whatnot.
Processors, especially, because your performance processor is going to be the one that passed the test better, and it's going to cost extra. And the one that failed the test is they're going to turn off two of the cords and say, this is the budget one. And the one that passed the test but didn't do so well is going to be your standard model.
So it's not a surprise for electronics as it is.
Right. Yeah, bin sorting is common in the entire industry.
Yeah.
But it always leaves a bad taste in the consumer's mouth.
Not in cars. I understand we're breaking the mold and we're innovating, but
again, Tesla's not a car company; they're a technology company that makes cars.
Yeah, but
so to see that they're doing things like a technology company is no shock at all.
You get like the special engine, like the LS kit or the Z71 package, or even the original performance motors. They were just ones that passed the test better, but they also had they then apply a bigger inverter and bigger drive shafts to it. But I don't know that that's still the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but like you said, it does feel terrible as a consumer. I've got one more thing while we're on.
You get what you pay for. You pay for more, you get more. That doesn't feel bad. If you want a better deal, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, remember when we had the pencil on the AMD processors? We'd unlock them and.
There's always a way around this stuff, so the secondary market is coming.
Yes.
Just watch out.
So I've got one more thing I want to talk about, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So the stock market had a new record today.
Well, Tesla did. I don't know about the whole market.
Yeah.
A new record setter today. There we go. So
Hey.
Tesla set themselves a new record high of $3.93 and 15 cents, up $14 from the previous close.
What's the market capital now on Tesla? 70 billion, something crazy?
70.86 billion.
Yeah.
Wow. It's funny because they were up a couple days ago, and one of the explanations thrown out was, the tax credit might get extended. And then today, the news came out that it was not
squashed.
getting extended,
Yeah.
and it's up again. So obviously, that's not what was driving it.
Yeah. And then the exchange that they're on actually went down for the day by a percentage or two. So this is, you can't even just say, they just went up with the market. So that was pretty cool. And their previous high was, 285? And then one of the other previous...
They
385. And then their highest this year before this was 381.
So people that own stock are really enjoying today and considering what they should do at this point. But that's another show. That's another show.
Yeah,
not us.
Big stock advice. We're not offering any.
Not
other than buy low, sell high. That's my only stock advice.
With that, that wraps up this week's news. Let's go to Patrick and see if he's got a shout out for us.
Sure. I am with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I occasionally write some stuff at carswithcores.net. Very good. Very good.
Yep. Mr. Green, anything from you that you can update us on?
Oh, yes. So over at Casey Green, so youtube.com/Casey Green, I recently uploaded a workaround to the premium internet connectivity package so that you can get it for no extra charge if you have a tethering plan on your mobile device. And so that's up there. I'm working on. I invited everybody out last week to basically the Make-A-Wish for a young man who is having a failing heart on his transplant, and that was awesome. We made his day. We got a video coming out about that, and then another one about the recent update, the 2019.40.2. And I want to thank Lee Moon for the music.
Don't.
No, that's Russell's got it.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a hint. I'm sorry.
No.
You can't hear that over the podcast.
Russell, shout outs from you.
I'm just trying to give Lee some pub because the man deserves it. So,
Absolutely.
once again, Lee Moon's the man who does our theme music, and thank you, Lee. You're a great guy all the way around. No, I don't have any shout outs other than thanks for watching. Do follow us on Twitter, as Mark suggested. That's the best place to get updates and get all the current info. And of course, subscribe and click yes for notifications on YouTube. Otherwise, I'll see you folks a little later on What Drives Us.
Absolutely. That's coming up shortly as well. So please give us a thumbs up if you haven't already on YouTube here, and subscribe if you haven't. And also, as Russell mentioned about the Twitter feed, we're getting real close to a milestone. Who's going to be number 20,000? That's coming up. So that should happen this week sometime. So keep your eye on that.
And just to prove what an asshole I am, I'm going to drop you and then sign back up. Okay.
And if you actually become Mr. 20,000, you won't be mentioned.
Exactly. It'll be like, yeah, we had a problem. So we took 2,000.
He signed up again.
Exactly. So thanks all for watching. Watch us next week and see and find out what is happening in the Tesla life. Good night, everyone. Have yourselves a good week.